Mr. Wong, fellow members of our board, a very good afternoon to you. I am Kai Sun, the member of Public Relations Department, and I am here to share with you Old Chang Kee's this year's Corporate Social Responsibility Program 2020. Now, before I begin, I would like to share with you all something that you all may be familiar with. Seeing it every day throughout your lives, you are maybe in the news, in the newspaper, or see it with your own eyes as you walk past community centers and HDB flats. And that thing I would like to share with you is the less fortunate. Now, what does it mean to be less fortunate? It means that you do not have enough to provide for yourself, but yet it just doesn't mean just not providing enough for yourself. The less fortunate can come from all walks of life, from children with abusive families or to elderly being abandoned by their own children because of their inability to take care of their parents when they get older. Now, before I begin, I would actually like to share with you a personal story of mine that I was once less fortunate. So usually my mom would tell me that for every week we will have $10 to spend on, and for that $10 we have to scrape it through. Like, she would cook rice for us for dinner, and for lunch we would survive on Maggi noodles because back in the days things was cheaper back then. And I was wondering, I was very young, I didn't understand, so I was upset sometimes that why do my friends get to watch movies, go overseas, or things like that which we usually didn't go to. So as I grew older and she told me this story, I started to slowly understand what's it like to actually try to survive without much here in Singapore, especially when things are actually getting more and more expensive as time go by. And this is why I am proud to be part of this social responsibility program for Old Chang Kee, and I will be proud to present to you the CARE Initiative 2020. Now, most of you might wonder, what does CARE actually stands for? What does it actually mean? So CARE will actually stands for Children's Sentiment, Affection, or Bond, Receiving of Love and Elderly Vigor. And you might be wondering, why all this for? What is the meaning behind it? Now, the meaning behind it is for children's sentiments, we will be giving our focus to children, to the children that have abusive families, or single mothers, single fathers. And for affection and bonds and receiving of love, it will be more towards the less fortunate. As I have shared in my story, the people that have very little to sustain themselves every day of their lives, followed by elderly vigor, which is the elderly who are alone and can care for themselves financially and physically. Now, each of these events will be separated 2 months apart so that our staff are able to actually prepare for each of these events so that it will go smoothly each 2 months. Now, before I actually begin, I would like to give you all handouts. This is the budget list and this is the initiative. So as I go along, it will be easier for you all to understand. For example, the budget list, what is included in the main budget, what is included in some of the courses, and what I might have missed out along the way. So let me begin with the children's sentiments. We will be collaborating with the Singapore's Children's Society so that we are able to give the children in Singapore a sense of social security, in the sense that they are not alone, that people are out there for them, and we will want them to learn something new every day, which one of our own activities will be curry puff making in a fun way. So the event date will be on 5th February 2020, and the event venue will be at the Toa Payoh Atrium. Now, why the Toa Payoh Atrium, you might ask? This is because Toa Payoh Atrium is known to host many successful events. from NEA's Green Gardeners Day Out to Mosey Wipeout campaigns, which is very successful. And since this is our start of the CARE Initiative 2020, it will be a grand place for us to host the event. And furthermore, since this is a grand event, we have actually asked our CEO for our assistance in this part, as we will be needing Mr. Lee Hsien Loong to give an opening speech towards our goal in initiating this CSR event, and he will be able to mingle around with the children during the curry puff making activities as well. Now, is that only all, you might ask? Like, is there only curry puff making and the speech by the guest of honor? No. We will be also asking Mr. Tosh Zhang to give some performances towards the children, and he will also be agreeable to actually host sing-alongs for them. So basically, we will be having 150 staff for the event, as they will be divided equally towards organizing it and preparing for the event to start. And these are the key activities: speech by the guest of honor, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, the performances by Tosh Zhang, food safety talk by the staff, and curry puff making, which will be one of the main events. Now, no worries, because in between the song performance and the food safety talk, there will actually be a break for the children attending and our staff as well. So basically, we will be expecting 100 children for the event. As such, the main cost would be 19,365, 727, 581 and 70 cents, 1,718, and the grand total would be 22,391 and 70 cents. Now, the main costs would actually contain things like the rental of the venue and how we would be giving a budget to our staff for them to eat out. Because every of these staff will be coming in at different timings to help out with the event itself. So next, is the affection of bonds. Now, for the affection of bonds, we would be collaborating with Veria Community Services and Singapore Zoo. Why these two? Because for Veria, we will be able to collaborate with them and find out the number of families that we would want to attend for this event. And Singapore Zoo, we will be able to give discounted prices for our staff and family members that are attending, so it would save costs for us as well. Now, the event date will be on 10th April 2020, Friday, which is at least 2 months away from the previous event. So it will give the staff enough time to prepare and know what to expect. Now, of course, the place of visit will be at Singapore Zoo. So basically, the number of staff attending will be 50, and the key activities will consist of the Circle of Life tour, where people are able to go face to face with lions, feed them, feed the animals, and of course there will be informational talk about wildlife preservation and walking around Singapore Zoo. There will also be breaks in between, so that is no worries. So next, the number of families will be 30, and the main cost will be $17,075, while the goodie bags will be $635.05, and the cost of refreshments will be $600, bringing a total of $18,310.05. The next activity would be the receiving of love. So we will be collaborating with Food from the Heart to give out to the families, to give them the daily necessities for them to survive each day of their lives. Necessities meaning the bags of rice, cooking oil. As you can see from the budget list, you are able to see the items that we think will be able for them to be better prepared daily. So now, the event date will be on Monday, 15 June 2020. And as research shows, Jalan Kukoh hosts the largest amount of less fortunate families in Singapore, which consists of 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and 10. And to show our sincerity, we actually want our staff to pass these gift bags door to door, as people will know that we are actually sincere about this giving back to the society. Now, the key activities is actually very simple. Now, since this is a very large event, as each block consists of 80 to 200 units, so you can imagine the amount of the less fortunate families living there. Some are rental, some are just a lot of people inside, and they don't have enough to provide themselves. So the total number of staff we will require is actually 550. While the activities are quite simple, which is coordination of the gift bags and the organization. Now, since our HQ does not have this space to actually host this kind of organizing of these goodie bags and packing them, as you can see from the budget list, there's actually a cost for the rental of a venue, a community center nearby, so that after the packing is done, we can send it to the blocks the next day. And second of all, they will be split into teams of 6, followed by distribution of the gift bags. Now, the total cost, you might ask, what is it? It seems like a lot. No. At first, due to budget constraints, we thought maybe 3 blocks would be too much. Maybe we'll overshoot our budget. But currently, it is only $37,433. So we would be able to provide for every less fortunate family in the area itself. So lastly would be the elderly vegan. Now for this, we will be collaborating with AWWA, Community Home for the Senior, and SEA Aquarium. Much like the collaboration with Singapore Zoo for the less fortunate families, we will actually want to give the elderly the sense of someone being there for them, someone talking to them, someone giving them the love that they deserve due to their years of taking care of us, Merdeka generation. Yes. So basically, the event date will be on Wednesday, 12 August 2020. And this will give our staff at least 2 months in advance to prepare. Why do I say that? Because since we are taking care of the elderly, we have proposed to actually have this 1-day CPR course for them. So in case that anything happens, they can immediately help them on the spot before emergency services can arrive for them. Now, the place of event would be actually SEA Aquarium. Now, the number of staff for the outing would actually be 40. So each staff could cater to at least 1 to 2 of them, so that they won't be left alone. And the key activities are simple: tour around SEA Aquarium and spending time with the seniors to make sure that there is someone next to them as the day go by, like someone taking photos for them, someone talking to them, even on the bus trip itself. So lastly, the numbers of seniors we will be expecting is 60 of them. So the total cost will be $8,535.32. Now, why is this Care Initiative 2020 a good program for Old Chang Kee to implement? First of all, up to 790 of our staff will be able to participate and give back to the society, as currently we already have around 800 staff in 2019. This is up to 98% of the total staff participating in the CSR movement. And lastly, the budget given to us was $200,000, and the total cost of this would be only $86,000. So there is no need to worry about the cost as well. In case that anything happens, or if let's say any activities are going to be changed, any changes or any additions to be added on, we can take from the extras instead of just cancelling some things to make up for it. So with that, are there any questions from the audience?
I was interested to find, would it make more sense for you to swap, let's say for example, one of the activity with the children, which is the opening, right, when you have curry puff making, with perhaps the elderly, because children will be more interested to visit a sea aquarium than go there to make curry puff, right?
Yes, actually we have thought about that before, but we believe that since the elderly have been cooking all their lives and that their children have abandoned them and they are always staying at home to actually cook for themselves, or their friends that visiting them. So perhaps maybe why not we let the elderly go somewhere where the children like, so they can experience being young again, and that there are people following them, giving them advice, talking to them, so that they will feel included in an outing which is actually meant for them. As for the children, this curry puff making would be a good skill for them to actually implement when they are growing up. They can gain an interest in cooking so that they are able to cook for their parents in the future, and possibly they will take up an interest in cooking as well. So that's why this would be a good way to implement this whole thing.
Okay.
Actually, I was thinking, right, is there really a need to have 150 staff to attend to 100 children? Because it's actually quite a lot to actually plan one event that is only for 1 day, that is until 5 o'clock.
No, actually I agree with you. Firstly, when we implemented this program, right, we thought actually there might be too much of staff to actually be in one event. 100 children, sure, but we have also considered the amount of people that will be going past it. They might be actually interested in it as well, where they might also bring in their children. As you can refer to your budget list, some of the materials we have provided extras in case that there are other children want to participate in it as well. So, as I previously mentioned before, the 150 staff is not for the event itself. Half of it could be setting up, and half of it could be helping to set up, and some could be tending to the event as it goes on. Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm just curious for the affection of bonds, right?
Yes.
You have mentioned that you have a limit of 30 families.
Yes.
So may I just know how do you choose the 30, and if there are like some families that are left out, how will you be able to like make it up as well?
So currently we are as I said before, we are collaborating with Varia services, so that we know that what families are actually more needy than the others. Cause some families, I believe, right, even though they are needy, some actually when they receive the money, they will actually anyhow spend it or on themselves, splendor it. While some, when they don't receive but they actually need it. So that's why when we collaborate with them, we were able to pick out these 30 families, which is already confirmed.
I have one final question. Do you think that it's good to incorporate environmental initiative as part of Old Chang Kee CSR initiatives?
Yes, actually, taking care of the environment is also one of our top priorities in Old Chang Kee. But then again, when we want to take care of the less fortunate, we give more our attention to these families instead, so that they will be well taken care of before we actually move on to any other programs. Because let's say if I do one for less fortunate families and one for the environment, we will actually have to increase our budget by a lot as well, which might overtake at least $200,000, which might cost the total might end up being 500,000, 600,000. So this is why for this one we do not currently have any environmental programs as of yet. So we might be implementing that in the future, so you may not need to worry about it.
No further question.
Okay, so I would like to ask members of the board, Mr. Wong, for your permission in implementing this CSR program, as I believe people will be able to see that we want to give back to the society.
Okay.
Now with that, thank you very much.